agreed to speak over here, first of all, I was worried that you people won't be able to understand my accent. But then, since you listen to Ranjit all the time, I'm much better than Ranjit. Second one is that I asked him, what should I speak about? Banks, mortgages, default loans and all that? He said that's his expertise, so he would let me talk about the bank issues. And the third item is that I told him, you pick the subject and we'll open the entire calendar year 2013 with my speech. He says, you pick the subject, and I said, since most of you are North Carolinians or kind of inbred in North Carolina, so I'll tell you the story of an immigrant. And I'm an immigrant to the United States, so I'll tell you my story. I've got 68 slides to show, but trust me, I've done these types of things before. I will not keep you here until any beyond 4 o'clock. Okay, so we'll ramp through it right now, and then we'll leave you some time for questions and answers, so let's go. Here's the next slide. Richard. Take it. That's the one. This one. Yeah. My name is Tansukh Ganatra. Occasionally and most of the time, my golfing friends and everybody else call me Tan Ganatra because Tansukh is too complicated and too tough for you to do. Today, I'm going to talk about my background, telecom history, my other interests and secrets to my success. So I'm going to give you all these pieces in about roughly 18 to 20 minutes, so you better pay attention because this will not be repeated again. My story actually begins from India. My parents emigrated from India to Uganda, East Africa, which is where I was born. Uganda, some of you may not know, was run by Idi Amin and the gang over there during the mid-60s and early 70s and all that. That was the reason for my migration over here. My parents were born in a town where Gandhi was born. They moved there to Africa in roughly 1938. I have 3 sisters. They were born in Africa. I was the second sibling in a group of 4. That's where I was. Uganda is a landlocked country surrounded by Lake Victoria, one of the largest freshwater lakes over there. It has the Blue Nile, that is the river that goes up north into the Egypt all the way through Sudan and all that. It's one of the prettiest countries, and wildlife and everything else was fantastic over there. Still is. I attended my high school in Uganda. I came in first class first in my entire protectorate, which means about 6 or 7 counties that you have over here would make up a protectorate over there. And I came first class first, and I went to Kenya, which is a neighboring country, to study, and I did electrical engineering. Well, Napoleon had his Waterloo. I had my Waterloo. I saw a wonderful young lady. In 1967, after 8 minutes of chaperone dating, 8 minutes only, I proposed to her, and she was very naive, and she said yes. We have been married about 46 years. Very happily at that. So now, we moved from Uganda to Kenya, and then we went to Rochester, New York to migrate. This was the time frame when Idi Amin and his gang were supposed to take over. The country was going to be uprooted and all that. I didn't want to go through that malarkey, so we left. We came to a place called Rochester, New York. Why Rochester, New York will take you about 2-3 minutes. So if there is Q&A on that one and somebody asks me a question, I'll tell you. But I'll be honest with you, I was so naive, I didn't know that it snowed over there. I was trapped there for about 21 years, then eventually the census came in and I moved to North Carolina. And now you can see the Yankee accent in me coming down to Carolina. I'm trying to be the typical hick town North Carolina, but still not successful. When we were in Rochester, New York, my son Rajesh is the apple of my eye. He was born there in 1978 June. He graduated from the schools over there, and frankly, he wanted to study in North Carolina. That's the reason we moved together. Well, I was there in Rochester during my 19-year tenure. I began as the junior engineer at Rochester Telephone Corporation. I held various positions which culminated into the position of director of engineering. Rochester Tel is now called Frontier. It was an evolution from Global Crossing. For 4 years before we migrated to North Carolina, I joined a company called ACC. And for a junior guy who landed in New York City with $647, that's when I landed, with me and my wife and 2 suitcases and a couple of boxes of my cutlery and all that, I came to the position in about roughly 23 years to become the president and the chief operating officer of that company. And then I retired and resigned and moved over here. And my family loves Charlotte, North Carolina. We really do love it. There was one linkage problem though. When I left ACC, I had a wonderful friendship with the chairman of the ACC, and he would not let me go. So he kind of trapped me and said, I think you need to improve the network that we had at ACC that you created, you being me and my team. And for him, and all that in an advisory role, I had nothing but a suitcase, and we traveled all the way to Canada, UK, Germany, Australia, Denmark, and throughout the USA. So in 1996, after all the consultations of the networks and everything else were done, we sold ACC to a company called Teleport and AT&T for approximately $1.2 billion. Now when yours truly joined the ACC in 1987, the value and the market cap on that thing was about roughly $27.2 million. So in 9 years, we took it from $27.2 million to $1.2 billion. All of us were rich, wealthy and all that. So what do we do? Retire? No way. Retirement did not agree with me, so I formed a company called US LEC with my wonderful friend Rick in in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1996. Well, in 1996, we decided that the time was going by. I was getting old, I was losing my hair, so was he. We decided that we should sell that company, so we sold that company to a company called PAETEC Corp for about roughly $815 million. In the year 2007. US LEC and PAETEC have kept me very, very busy in the board positions, accounting positions, CFO positions, CEO positions and all that. And what we did was that while we were on the board of directors and the audit committees of PAETEC Corp, we acquired multiple companies. One was McLeod, another one was a data company and all that. And finally we said, look, we acquired Cavalier as a company as well. So the company that we merged with about $818 million with PAETEC, eventually was acquired by a company called Windstream for $2.3 billion. And this happened on December 1st, 2011. And guess what? I'm out of jobs. So I'm looking for a gainful employment if somebody else has something else. So I gave you my background, and let's quickly learn about telecom history. I'm not going to teach you where the dial tone comes from, but it is very important for you to know the telecom history. The entire map of the United States is shown over here, and this is pre-divestiture. Some of you are so young you may not understand divestiture, but AT&T had the monopoly of the entire country. It governed about 94% of the geographical territory, and 6% was by independent telephone companies like GTEs, us, and all those, Rochester Tel and all that. But guess what? Since AT&T controlled 86%, plus there were other 7% in the toll market, so the network of the whole thing was about roughly 93%, and the judgment from the government came that AT&T is too big, too powerful, too monopolistic. When you become a monopoly, you become arrogant, you do not provide good service, your prices are sky high, there is no competition and all that. You need to break up AT&T. So that happened in calendar year, I believe, 1983. January it was decreed, and it happened in December 83. So the entire AT&T was broken into 7 regional telephone companies. Regional operating companies were called RBOCs, Regional Bell Operating Companies. And there was a condition. It was supposed to separate itself by becoming long distance versus local. AT&T became toll only, long distance. And the regional bell operating companies were supposed to do local. So the father or the mother, if you call AT&T, long distance, these guys were supposed to provide local service. Local guys were PACTEL, US West, Ameritech, Bell Atlantic, 9X, Bell South, Southwest Bell. So guess what? They became a little restless, so they wanted to go into long distance business. So they said, aha, we want to get into the long distance business. So how do we do that? So before that, they said, let's merge each other and become strong so we can compete against the Ma Bell, which was the mother, if you call it. So the little babies wanted to compete with the mothers. So here is what happened. There was a company called Quest that acquired US West. Southwest Bell acquired PACTEL, which was there. Ameritech, Bell Atlantic acquired this. So there was a lot of mergers and acquisitions. And Bell South, the local one over here, was a jilted lover. Nobody wanted to marry Bell South. Or Bell South couldn't find anybody else. So now, in 1996, they said, we want to get into long distance business. So the government again said, you can only go into the long distance business and compete against AT&T if you allow local competition. Because you can be a monopoly and then get into the other people's business. So if you want to get into other people's business, you need to open up. So they did open up, and that is what allowed US LEC and the other companies, PAETEC Corp and all that. Now Southwest Bell eventually gobbled up AT&T itself. So the little baby Bell ate up the mother itself. They like the mother's name, AT&T. It's a brand name throughout the world. Southwest Bell, nobody knew. So they've kept the AT&T, but the Southwest Bell is actually the thing behind it. And then eventually AT&T acquired Bell South. Okay? The lone baby Bell. And Verizon gobbled up Bell Atlantic, gobbled up GTE, and picked up that one too. Bell Neo. Now I've given you a little bit of telecom history. So let's look at this. Telecom, I knew nothing about. When I came, I didn't know where the dial tone came from. But I rose to this position all the way through because of hard work and all that. Now I'll tell you about my other interests. What we do is, me and my family, we came with $647 over here in this wonderful country called America. We have built with networks, people, God's blessings, lots of sages helping and all that, plus a tremendous amount of hard work. As always, the bankers are screwed up. If Ranjit says I go to bed at 12, he's incorrect. I go to bed at about 11 and I wake up at about 2:33 in the morning. But that's okay. Bankers are known to make mistakes. So our interests are that we want money beyond our expectations. So we support charitable endeavors and charitable foundations. This is a gorgeous temple in India. It's a multi-billion-dollar temple, and temples give you nothing but peace if you really go with that intent. So we were blessed to be the minority, which is called the total dollar commitment. Just wrote a big check for multi-million dollars, and this temple was built in an orphanage where the kids are being taught, and Ranjit goes to this town quite often as well. We love Loving Children's Hospital. They do amazing things with kids, and we have a wonderful rapport with Carolina Healthcare Foundation and all that. So we have donated mega bucks to the Loving Children's Hospital because we do things for India, which are my roots, for my father, his hometown. We do things for Living Children's Hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. And University of Rochester Medical Center is a wonderful, wonderful place that lots of research. It's ranked as one of the top 25 hospitals in the country. We do lots of stuff over there too. And there is a research center, Ab, my dear friend over there, cardiovascular research. And basically what it is doing is doing research at what is called a genome level. Forget about all these DNAs and the blood particles and all that. This is into the minuscule piece of the blood particles, and what that will do is someday, I'll be going upstairs, but someday there will be a vaccination found that will be injected like whooping cough and other vaccinations that we give to the people or the kids and all that. That vaccination will recognize the blockages that we have in the arteries and the veins and all that. That blockage will never ever occur. It is a preventive piece. So the proteins and all those things that create the blockage will never be there. There are about roughly 64 PhDs and doctors who are working on this multi-million-dollar endeavor research and all that. Me and my business partner are funding that so that we may not benefit from it, but let the future generations and the future kids benefit. So somebody, and you look at it all, the heart is strong, but the vessels to the heart get blocked. And this is what we are working on, 64 PhDs over there doing research, and these PhDs are from all over the world. China, Korea, Russia, Romania, India, and of course America, Canada and all that. That's what we support. And then we have a Biomedical Foundation of India working with University of Rochester Medical Center, in which Indian brilliant students who are economically disadvantaged cannot come over here. We will support them and we will sponsor them, and the University of Rochester Medical Center will take care of them and provide PhDs and doctorates and whatever they need to do. They don't have to worry about the money. They've got to be just right. Now, what are my other interests? I invest in alternative energy. What are the alternative energies? I think the fossil oil and all the things that we use over here is running out, depleting out, so we are investing into alternative energy like wind, solar, and into some of these projects that take days to explain to you what they mean. But me and my son are investors into those types of technology that will help us. I will not see the benefit in my age group. I'm 70 years old. But somebody else will see the benefit, and the whole world will do a wonderful job. There, our investments are at MIT. Brilliant engineers from MIT have been given money, millions of dollars from our group, to say, hey, you guys just do the research and get a commercial product out. And you know how far we are? That far away. Products are already in beta test and all that, and they will be put into production by roughly 2014. I'm an voracious reader. I read about 12 to 13 magazines a week, business news and all that. I read about 3 to 4 books, okay, on my Kindle and all that. And I read every technical report, and anybody who sends me an email, as he said correctly, that's the first correct thing he has said this year. I respond to every email that I get, whether the answer is yes, no, or whatever it is, but I respond. But I love to read. I'm an voracious reader. We do international travel with me and my wife and my son. I mean, we are shall I say, 3 musketeers is probably the best way to put it. And we do international travel throughout the world, all over the place. But I'm telling you honestly, after 3 or 4 weeks of international travel, whether it's in the corners of Africa or whether it's India or Pacific Rim or the Australian side or the New Zealand side, when we come back over here in 2 weeks, I kiss the ground and say, God bless you that I'm an American. I love playing golf. I'm not as good as Ranjit and Ryan and others, but I'm really tenacious. Would you agree there or not, Ryan? Every time we play against each other, I take him to the 18th hole, right?
Right down the middle, right on the green, he makes the putt.
Finally, they call me pipeline because being an engineer myself, my balls are more straight, not as long as Ryan and others. Ranjit did. I'm right out the middle. When I lose a ball, I can afford a ball for $2 loss, you know. But it really beats me when I lose a ball because I was straight. We participate, me and my son and others, we participate in various charity boards, other pieces and all that, which are non-compensatory, just to provide an advisory role. And just think about this. The guy comes with $647 into good old USA, doesn't know A from B on telecom, rises to this level with hard work and blessings and mentors and all that. Why should I not impart that knowledge to somebody else, right? Because the only thing you live in life, very frankly, is a legacy. All of us are going to go. All. It's how you breathe, how you live a legacy is what my objective is in life, and that's what I do. We told you about other interests. So now you probably are wondering, this guy who came on a banana boat with $647 is a successful guy, I think, by my standards and all that, and well beyond me. What is the secret to my success? I'm now letting you secrets. So those who are taking a nap better wake up. Secret to my success is really no secret. I attribute my success to extreme hard work, maybe to the point of being a workaholic. Okay, to the point that I sleep only roughly, as we said, about 3 to 3.5 hours a day, and I've done that over 48 years of my life. At the age of 12, a friend of ours wanted accounting done, and he says, a Ganatra should write the account. My father said, because my father was the chief accountant. And my father said, yes, a Ganatra will write the account, but it will not be me, it will be my son. At the age of 12, I was asked to do ledgers, journal entries, cash book, inventory management, cash reconciliations, invoices out, tables and all that. At the age of 12.5, 13, I knew. And eventually I chose engineering. Did I disappoint my dad? Yes, I did. But the accounting that I learned over there helped me tremendously here to do the balance sheets and P&L of the large company. So hard work. Build excellent teams. You are never ever, one person will not ever win. Build teams. And I have relationships from Rochester Hotel, ACC and all that. If I make one call on any help that I need or any questions answered, boom, the question will be answered because there is a relationship in building the net. I have a passion for the job. If you don't like your job, yeah, remember out of 30 days, I probably have half a day where I would want to kill an imaginary dog or chew somebody out and all that. But 29.5 days, I have a passion for the job. I don't have to be in the office at 6 in the morning, I'm there. I'm the biggest mouth there in the company, but I'm the earliest one over there and the last one probably to leave and responsive to your email. So if I didn't like my job, this would not have been a success. Create alliances. You have to create networks because we are all in this small little world together. Now in alliance, we had an alliance with Bell South as well. Okay, but they were our competitors or we were their competitors. And the fiercest one, Bell South really feared us as the toughest competitor because our customers were the happiest customers. Customer retention and all that was about 98%. And make sure that you choose a job or a passion or a niche that is appropriate and favorable business and regulatory environment. That means the regulation in our case was what? They said, Bell South, they must have competition to get into long distance. If I just came in local over here and came into competition without the rules and all those things being open, we would have been murdered or killed, as I put. So make sure you know that. And make sure you have strong family support. I mean, everybody knows me, my wife, and my son over here from the Indian contingent. Ryan knows that too. But the point of it all is, if your family doesn't support you, it becomes an agony. There were days when I told my wife, you won't see me, my son, you won't see me. They said, don't worry. Since you love the job, you do whatever you need to do, and we are very tight family. And I attribute my personal success to these items as well. I'm a non-smoker. I've never ever smoked. I'm a non-drinker. I drink tea with my wife, hot tea. I'm a pure vegetarian. In fact, I chewed him out that, gee, did you take care of your chief guest? And he says, there is vegetarian food for you, don't worry about it. I don't even take eggs, bacon, or anything like that. I'm deeply religious by nature, very spiritual. To me, I'm a Hindu, but I'm not a Hindu per se, as a dogmatic Hindu. I just want to be, there is somebody up there who is watching over me. Whether he's Christian or Islam or Buddhist or whatever it is, he or she is watching over me and guiding me in all my life to make the decisions, to have a betting average in excess of 90% of the decisions that I've made. I'm very happy that somebody's guiding me. I'm not that smart. So, suggestions for your success. Do hard work. Find a niche that you really have passion for. Have a sound business plan. If you don't have a sound business plan, you are dead, because then you are just shooting in the blind. Be adequately capitalized. If you don't have enough money and you are begging, borrowing money, and then kind of doing things according to the mercy of the banks or friends or whatever it is, you'll never go anywhere. Enjoy life. I enjoy life. With all my trials and tribulations and everything else that I've gone through in personal life and everything else, I say, God who has given you life, enjoy it to the fullest. Implement sound estate planning. And if you are in your net worth and whatever you are at, you need to look at the sound estate planning, that you don't work your tail off and then end up giving the money in the wrong place, or it goes at the wrong end, because you were so busy planning your things that you didn't execute the correct documents. Find a good mentor. I've had tremendous mentors in my life, that I'm now a mentor to about hundreds of people over here. Because that whole became, when I came in, I was a junior student. People taught me. And the people who taught me, I became their boss's boss. I take care of them when they retire, absolutely. Now, people who work under me are becoming mentors of other people. So you need to find good mentors. And learn to give. We as Americans are being given more than what we need on an average basis. Learn to give, it will come back multi-fold. Thank you. Do you have any questions? I was told to finish it in 21 minutes, and 20 minutes, and I took 21 minutes, I think. Good. So I've got plenty of time. Fire away on questions, or if you don't fire away, I'll tell you 2 more stories that you need to know.
Yes, sir. Who are the types of people that really challenge you, that get you to think outside what you normally would do, because you're very driven, focused, you're relatable? Who are some of the people that inspire you? Maybe you're just
historical or present?
Yes.
Yes to both. You belong to Washington. Sorry about that. The answer is, when you look at the history, the people who inspire me, and again, I'm not going from the Steven Spielberg movie. By the way, I see about 3 to 4 movies a week. Not the DVD movies and all that, theater movies. So Lincoln is my hero. He had family problems. When he came in, there was no network over there, as it pertains to the communications and all that. And he passed 2 of the most important legislations in the American history. One was to end the Civil War, and the second one was emancipation. He had depression. He had a young son who had died. His wife and him were always constantly at a struggle and all that. Congress was just like this Congress that Barack Obama is facing. But he managed to put all those pieces through. That was amazing. Second one who inspires me is Gandhi. Okay? Non-violence. Okay? I'm a completely non-violent guy. As it were, on golf, I want to kill him. But the point there is, non-violence in personal life says, because we Hindus believe in theory of karma, that every action you take there will be a reaction to that. The point is, why don't you take actions that are going to be positive rather than negative? Killing something is a piece. So those are the past. In my real life, my mentors are my business partner, Ray Cat. With the adversities that he has faced and with the things that he has faced, he has told me a couple of things regarding the business pieces and all that. And he challenges me. He's not a detail guy. Detail guy is yours truly. He's a visionary. And I tell him, I'll execute your vision. You just tell me. And if it is not correct, I'm not a party to it, I will do that. That is it. So the biggest hero, I'll be honest with you, is my wife and my son. For them to give me the freedom for me to chase my dreams. Now, I mean, you guys know my wife and you guys know my son. He, with all the things that he has on his plate and everything else, can I talk openly over here? Openly here?
Absolutely.
We gifted him all the way, whatever assets I had made. He comes into my office at about roughly 5:30 in the morning and he says, Dad, I want to give 95% of my assets away to charities. Because the 5% will keep me going on whatever I want to do. And I want enough on my own. Now this 95% is tens and millions of dollars. And when he did that, I had tears in my eyes and I learned from him how to give. Okay, to the others. So giving, I learned from him. My wife, she's the gentlest soul I ever met. I had only one fight with her every year. I have a fight. It's the only thing to do. And it is resolved in roughly 3 minutes to say, you are right, dear, I'm sorry. Did I answer your question?
Among your spiritual readings, what do you find to be particularly inspirational?
Okay, there are 3 spiritual, actually, Puranas, which are called the, like you have Bible, then the Testaments and the Genesis and all. We have 3. All of them tell me one thing, Gita. Gita is the code of conduct of what an individual should do who has been given life. And our job in life is to fight and struggle. Life is not a bed of roses. There is always going to be struggle. But never ever give up and do the righteous thing. That's number 1 from Gita. Correct? Ramayana, which is the story of a wonderful king who is my spiritual leader all the way, tells you code of conduct with anybody, like his code of conduct with his father, mother, stepmother, brothers, his wife, his younger brothers, his father-in-law, his friends, his enemies, and all that is an exemplary piece that you learn as to how he conducted himself, Lord Rama. Okay, and when you do the Srimad Bhagavata, which is very dear to my heart whenever I think about it, it is the story of a king who has done one thing wrong and he has been kind of cursed. You are going to die within 7 days. A snake will bite you in 7 days. Now, a person who knows that he has a 7-day window to die, what should he do? It's his story. How do you prepare yourself for the death, which is an eventuality? And frankly, it's not King's story. It's your story, my story, his story, everybody's story. What's the story? You're going to die on any one of those 7 days, right? Whenever we die, it's one of the 7 days. So what are you going to do? How do you prepare for it? And that's the wonderful story. So those are my 3 pieces. Code of conduct, actions, and how do you prepare for the eventuality? Did I answer? Thank you. If you have time, I want to tell you 2 more stories. Can I quickly tell you? One is, any questions before I go? I have 2 more. Okay. Really, for all the bright things I've done, I did one thing really stupid. You saw my wife's picture over there, right? She is the only daughter in the family of 4 brothers, youngest and only daughter. Okay? And I'm the only son in the family. I have an elder sister and I have 2 younger sisters. So I'm number 2. We get married, life is lovey-dovey. We apply for the American visas. We are granted the visas to come over here in 6 weeks. The green card, you guys are not familiar with it, but people come with a green card, then eventually after 5 years they become American citizens and they apply and all that. So now we have filed for the visas, and the visas come in. So now our move to the United States is getting serious, right? So she said, how much money do we have? I said, oh, about close to $700, but the actual answer was $647. Next point. Now she's telling me this in vernacular, so I'm passing it to you in English. And she asked me, who will make all the decisions when we go to the United States? Because the only 3 things I know about the United States is John Wayne, tall guy, Rock Hudson, she didn't know he was AC/DC then. And the other thing was, the big buildings, tall highways and everything else over there. So she said, who will make all these decisions? So I was the magnanimous guy, arrogance over there, right? The husband and all that. He said, honey, you make all the minor decisions. I'll make all the major decisions. I've been here 46 years. I haven't made a major decision yet. Anytime there are major decisions, time out. You told me, and this by definition and the agreement we made was a minor decision. And the final thing I'll tell you about it is, I learned to drive at the age of 12 and a half. Think about it. My dad, who was the big mamu of the town, says, you need to learn to drive. And I said, Dad, it's illegal. I said, Dad, it is illegal. He said, whether it's legal or not, let me worry about it because I'll handle the police because I work with them in the evening. I said, okay. So now we have a stick shift car. There are no automatic transmission cars in the country except the president, the richest man there, the Madhwanis, which are the Rockefellers of the gang. So stick shift car, I put on the cushion, there is a local African driver over there, and I asked him, Nafayanini, do you know what that means? Okay. He's Swahili, because he doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak my vernacular and all that, so I asked him in Swahili, Nafayanini. So he says, I'm asking him, what should I do next? So his answer was very simple. Kama naona tembo simama. Do you know what that means? If you see an elephant on the road, I think you should stop because it may damage our car. Now, do I see any elephants on the streets in North Carolina? So I drive here like a maniac because that's what he told me. That whenever you see an elephant, you should stop. So I go like a maniac. God bless you. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a wonderful pleasure. Ranjit, thanks for having me.